What a sad moment for Latinos, Hispanics, anybody who has a heart. How sad. So with all this deportation happening today, and I know this is going on, but who's gonna finish up all the construction? There is a lot of men out there, hard-working men getting deported. So what's gonna happen to all the construction and everything that's being worked on right now? Because no one's gonna do it. Who's gonna do it? Who's gonna sit, especially here in Arizona, who's gonna stand in 114, 119 degree weather and get paid minimum wage to do that kind of work? I mean, why zip tie them? They're obviously gonna go voluntarily. I mean, you think they can't just cut off those zip ties? And they have them buddy to buddy. Oh, and apparently they ran out of zip ties. There might be a shortage of zip ties because now they're doing one zip tie for two. It's inhumane. Just what's going on in this world.
With immigration deporting all of the immigrants, all of the non-documented workers, which basically makes up 60 to 70% of all of the construction workers in the state of Florida, who's going to be taking those jobs? I mean, because the new generation of Americans that we've got right now are either too busy worried about what gender they are, or too busy trying to be influencers on TikTok or any of the other social outlets, or they're just too busy complaining about their parents raising them too harshly and they need to worry about safe words. Could you imagine Gen Zers on a construction site? Could you imagine what would happen to OSHA? They would be so busy with complaints about using foul words on a job site that nothing would ever get done. But meanwhile, immigrants and hardworking minorities that have come to this country looking for the American dream are being deported for working hard and doing what most American young generations won't do. Could you imagine some of these obese Americans actually going out and doing dishes or bussing tables or, throwing out the trash?
I bet Cubans for Trump hate to see my fat ass coming, but you knew I was coming. You knew I would not let 24 hours pass before I would get on here and have my say. 530,000 Cuban, Haitian, and Venezuelan refugees have got to get them out of here. Their refugee status has been canceled. But remember that one time when that black lady was running for president and she tried to tell your asses and you didn't listen? You were singing, "I will vote for Donald Trump." Remember that? We tried to warn you. Now the time is up. You got to get them out of here. And nobody's sorry for you. You thought because your skin was just a tad bit lighter than the other Latinos that you were the chosen ones and you were special. You thought you would be able to stay. You were different. You're not. You're not. And we tried to warn you. Kamala tried to warn you. Now, if Kamala was president, you could have probably stayed, but you didn't want her as president. You proudly would vote for Donald Trump, and you probably still would. So get them here.
What an interesting episode we are going to be reacting on today. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing well wherever you're at. All my returning subscribers, you guys, thank you so much for the love and support. And if you're seeing me for the very first time, my name is Sumi and I hope you do consider subscribing on the channel. Well, in today's episode I came across videos of Cubans and Latinos crying out because they are being deported apparently. I'm sure these Cubans didn't even see this coming. Probably they thought they were the white people. Do you know what even amuses me about these people? I think it is, let's look at an example of someone being in a relationship and the person doesn't even like you. For the fact that they are coming out and saying that, oh, if you chase us, then who is going to take over these jobs? Who is going to work in the farms? Donald Trump doesn't actually care. He doesn't care about you people. He doesn't care. He is the president of America, and therefore he will always figure out. These people can't accept that Donald Trump doesn't really need them in. He doesn't. They don't want to accept the truth that they are not needed in America. Even if they try to plead and try to bring in the crocodile tears and try to bribe him with innocent talks, who is going to work in the farms, who is going to work on those jobs, Trump will always figure out that these Cubans and the Latinos don't want to listen to the truth. They don't want to accept the truth. They think they are these whites who are privileged, of which even some whites are not even privileged. You know?
And on another note, he pardoned the Chrisleys and Larry Hoover. True criminals. But he wants us up out of here. Now run along. Toodaloo. Bye-bye.
Well, happy Fun Day Sunday, TikTok. I need my Latin community of South Florida, particularly my Cubans and my Venezuelans, to come to the front of the class. Coming from my fancy garage, I have a question for you on this fine Sunday afternoon. And we are going to start with my Cuban people first. Are you happy with your vote? Would you turn around and vote for him again tomorrow? Is he keeping his promises? Do you still feel that your skin is whiter than mine, or you think that you are whiter than me? Whatever do you mean, mouth of the South? Skin color whiter than yours or whiter than you? Yeah, because that's how I have seen for the past 30 years the Cuban people act. Not all of them, but you know who you are. Where I have seen complete racism to Jamaicans, to Haitians, to Black Americans. And my melanin brothers and sisters from the islands and right here in the United States, tell me I'm wrong. I've had to step in a couple of battles before TikTok and social media even was a thing. So Cubans, how you feeling today? That concert you put on down in Miami singing, vote, vote, vote for Donald Trump. Oh, that's right, I forgot. You got deported. Well, you went and spread misinformation to every other Cuban person living in Miami and South Florida. But you got deported. And my Venezuelan people, the ones who voted for Donald Trump, how do you feel now? Especially if you're one of the 350,000 people who just got their status revoked. Oh, you didn't hear about that? The Supreme Court gave the green light for you guys to all go bye-bye. Just when the Latin community is supposed to stick together. And I know I look like a crazy fucking white lady. But that Latin DNA runs in my roots and my genes too. I just look like a crazy white lady. How you feeling now? Would you vote for him again tomorrow? Are you proud? Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. You can't tell me because you got deported. So, to all my Latin people, I would really suggest you wake the fuck up. And you see things right now for what the fuck it is. This is history repeating itself. I told you, education is key. Knowledge is power. Stop making the same mistakes again and again and again. Wake up before it's too late. For some of y'all, it already is. You enjoy the rest of your Sunday now. You hear?
¿Por qué están arrestando personas inocentes que solo huyen de una dictadura, de una tiranía asesina comunista?
Tras la detención de la joven cubana Laura de la Caridad González Sánchez, líderes del movimiento anticomunista I-220A expresaron su apoyo.
Como movimiento legal en el estado de la Florida, necesitamos por favor que se tomen en cuenta que si no hemos cometido crimen, que tenemos nuestras vidas organizadas, nuestro asilo pendiente, que por favor no tenemos por qué vivir con este terror.
Oh my God, I will vote. I will vote for Donald Trump. That's what y'all did. Those people didn't even get paid to do that. That's crazy. The wordplay that the GOP specifically used in Florida, especially Miami, on Venezuelans and Cubans is unreal. They told you guys that they're only going after the criminals. You guys are the criminals. When you come to this country illegally, that's the crime. But what you do is you seek asylum because you're saying you're running away from a very bad government. But you still have to get here to seek asylum. And when you seek asylum, you give your name, where you're living, where you're working. That's how this works. So that's what they did. They didn't go around trying to find a bunch of illegal immigrants everywhere because that's difficult to do. Apart from the farms and the construction sites, it's hard to find illegal immigrants in the country. They don't leave a paper trail. But people that seek asylum do. And that's why they went to y'all houses in Miami and picked y'all up. Because they knew where you were at. Your paperwork wasn't completed. But hey, I will vote for Donald Trump. You voted for your people to get deported because he don't give a shit what you look like. Y'all could look white. You can have the proximity to whiteness. But you are from Cuba. And he don't give a shit. So thoughts and deportations. Oh my God, I will vote. I will vote for Donald Trump. Y'all stand 10 toes down in your vote. Don't start bitching now.
Now at 10, ICE operations continue in San Antonio. For a second day in a row, agents are seen arresting migrants at immigration court.
And look at this scene on the northwest side. 3 people who appear to be part of a landscaping company. They were taken into custody in this parking lot of the shopping center. Tonight, KENS 5 reporter Megan Reina is following all these developments for us. Megan?
Well, Henry Easties, this is part of the Trump administration's push for mass deportations. We heard from 2 immigration attorneys who watched as their clients were taken into custody today after they showed up to their scheduled immigration hearings.
Crying out, "I don't want to die in Honduras," an emotional mother taken by ICE agents at immigration court Thursday. Another mother also placed in the same van. Her husband says she has no prior criminal history.
Mis hijas esperándolos en la casa. 6 niñas tengo que dependen de nosotros.
But like most arrested, she had just had her case dismissed by a judge.
We were requesting a merits hearing, and the judge declined to set a merits hearing because DHS asked for the case to be dismissed and the client to be ordered removed, saying that it was not in the government's interest to hear a full case.
These videos shared to us show agents in the lobby of the immigration court waiting for migrants, one agent even holding what appears to be a list with pictures. Shortly after, you see agents escort an entire family into a charter bus. ICE says these arrests are a part of the Trump administration's plans to reverse former President Biden's so-called catch and release program. They are now utilizing expedited removals. It allows them to fast-track deportations for people who have been in the country for less than 2 years. These arrests are evoking fear among people who have upcoming hearings. One attorney who's representing a man from Central Africa says the option for migrants to appear virtually for hearings appears to be gone. Her client also had his case dismissed.
I feel like we portraying people who's here with credible fears. Just knowing his story, I feel like I let him down.
But
I thought they said they were going after criminals. Those are babies. Those are children, mothers, landscapers. These immigrants are showing up to their immigration appointments trying to stay in this country the right way. And how do they get rewarded for being upstanding, doing things the right way? They get set up and they get deported. Of course, They lied when they said you get to stay if you do things the right way and you're not a criminal. These are innocent babies between the ages of 9 and 12 being zip tied like criminals, while an actual criminal, 34-time felon rapist, leader of our country, is pardoning other criminals, the cop killing J6ers and Todd and Julie Chrisley. This is what a lot of you Mexicans and Latinos voted for. Not only are you failures, you are the biggest danger to yourselves, your own family, and your community. What an absolute disgrace you are, MAGA Latinos. They are rapidly deporting Black and brown people, many who are indigenous to this continent, while simultaneously importing white supremacists from South Africa, which is an entirely different continent for those who don't know.
Cubanos that have historically supported the Republican Party and have been pretty outspoken about supporting Trump are now more vulnerable than ever. But let's talk about this. For many decades, people that had left Cuba came to the United States and were protected from deportations. Their anti-Castro, anti-communist perspective, anti-socialist, aligned very well with the Republican Party, and they embraced that identity when they arrived to places like Florida. But under the current administration, many protections that existed have been revoked, and many people in that community are facing fear and uncertainty about what's going to happen next. Honestamente, I know for many folks it's gonna be hard to feel bad because in many ways, they were asking for this for other communities, and it makes sense that they feel betrayed because they were supporting this, not expecting it to affect them. Let me add one more thing. Cuban exiles in the United States are not a monolith, so of course not all of them were pro-deportation, but the ones that were happen to be the louder voices. I know many people in the community that have been talking about this aren't going to feel any sympathy, essentially saying they effed around and found out. I for one think it's sad. The idea of people losing their livelihood and being deported is just inhumane. But I want this to be a conversation. Familia, what do you all think about this? Do you have sympathy or not? Let me know.
Did you know that Cuban deportees, especially the ones that are political dissidents and the ones seeking asylum in the U.S., face a significant risk of torture when they come back to Cuba? So when we ask ourselves, when will Latinos for Trump open their eyes, specifically the Cuban ones? The answer is they never will. And there's no better example than the Cuban for Trump than El Funky. He's a Cuban rapper that's currently facing deportation and possible imprisonment in Cuba since his music helped fuel anti-government protests in Cuba. Someone that's been really silent about this case is self-hating Marco Rubio, a Cuban himself. It's a perfect illustration of how much Marco Rubio has changed up during the Trump presidency. Even just a year ago, I'm sure Marco Rubio would have been the loudest person about this case. It's also a crazy example of how much Trump has changed up about Cuban immigration policies. For decades, the U.S. has rolled out the red carpet for Cubans, despite Trump refusing to help these Cubans who have overwhelmingly voted for him. They are still very much pro-Trump, including the rapper El Funky. Talk about fucking around and never finding out.
Where are my Miami Cubans at? Stand up for what you supported in 2024. Stand up for what you supported. Oh, you thought he wasn't talking about you, right? He wasn't talking about you. He was talking about the illegals. Even though we tried to tell you, if your skin color was brown and you talk Spanish, he wants you out of the country. You thought, oh, he's not talking about me. We tried to warn you. The mass deportations in U.S. history affect communities of color indiscriminately. How do they know if you're undocumented or not? They're going to harass you. So even revoking legal status for 500,000 Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans, how are they going to find out which ones just lost their legal status? Where are they going to find them? They're going to be searching these neighborhoods as they have been already. You know, when I moved from Michigan to Florida, I was young, naive. I didn't know what had happened in 2000, but I was shocked when I learned that Cubans in Miami were Republicans, because coming from Michigan, I knew who the Republicans were, and they couldn't stand the Cubans. And it's like you're voting for people who can't stand you. They tolerate you because you stay in Miami and you're not venturing out to Iowa. You're not venturing out into the Midwest to realize that the people you're supporting want you out of their country. FAFO. But stand up and own what you supported. Round of applause. Greatness is here. Enjoy.
ICE is conducting workplace raids. They are targeting people who showed up to work. ICE is detaining people who are showing up for immigration check-ins. The State Department is working to revoke student visas from people who are coming here to study. They are also threatening to revoke temporary protected status, threatening thousands of people with deportation. Latino communities across the U.S. are holding their loved ones close. People are angry, sad, and panicked, and rightly so. But I want you to remember this. Cruelty is the point. Broadcasting that cruelty into your home, into your device, into your mind, into your heart, that is their goal. If you care about humanity, human dignity, human rights, these images and videos that you're watching are meant to demoralize you. And if you're on the side that voted for this and you're cheering on the raids, it's meant to vindicate you. Now, this is how state violence is sold to the public. They want us stunned. They want us frozen and afraid, and to sit and ask, how could this happen? Why would they do this? That's why they're showing us children in zip ties, people having panic attacks being loaded into the back of trucks. They are showing us families being torn apart in real time to normalize it. The goal with spectacles like this is to normalize dehumanization. Now, this is what scholar Leo Chavez explains as the Latino threat narrative, which is constructed by media and by the repetition of narratives in media. Head over to the link in my bio where I have readings and topics for anyone who wants to learn about Latinos in the US, and look at topic number 3. Now, the Latino threat narrative is like a threat narrative of any other group, but it's a media-driven spectacle that normalizes the dehumanization of these people and paints them as morally bankrupt somehow. Now, those narratives worm their way into public discourse and become normalized. Suddenly, these are not just your neighbors or your classmates or coworkers, they are problems, threats, people who don't belong. And those ICE agents cover their faces because they know that what they are doing is shameful. If you're proud of your work, you do it in public. You show your face. So what do we do about it? A lot of people are saying, I don't know what to do. Here's what we're gonna do.